Okay, we're doing a rebroadcast here. We had a little problem in getting going here earlier today. It seems like there's a lot of traffic on the internet, and you can't blame a lot of people. Are just they're on the internet. I guess they're trying to get their say or whatever, trying to communicate with family members and all this kind of stuff. Let me lower this up here. I'm still getting buffering and the internet's still not running smoothly. Yeah, smooth. So this is, hang on a second. As I gotta stop here 1 second. So the situation is still the internet's not running all that great today. It's not going to be an easy day to broadcast over the internet, at least not in my area. It seems to be the internet seems to be suffering here. So I'm gonna go as much as I can, do what I can on the internet, and I'm not able to get a feedback on the internet to see if it's running good. Usually I will have somebody out here that will tell me, hey, the internet's got too much buffering or not, and I'm able to continue with the broadcast. Right now I am getting a signal from YouTube and telling me that they're not receiving enough video from my system. Now there's times that I've actually received that signal and the system is actually on my side running good. It's actually saying that it's being sent out pretty good. So we're gonna be talking more about the earthquake. The earthquake. I'm in the wrong place there. the hurricane that is heading, Milton is heading towards Florida right now, and you can see the rainfall predicted there. Along the coast here is predicted around 10 inches. And over in Tampa it's around 6 inches so far. Actually, this is what could be right now happening. And let's pull back here and see what we got going. As you can see, it's a slow internet connection on there. So we're still having a problem with the internet. Hopefully we'll get some feedback from somebody if they hear it okay. I'm trying not to run a lot of graphics on here, which slows down the internet. So it's basically one graphic being run here at the moment, and hopefully that will help. We will move on here. So the situation is it's beginning to pick up speed. People are beginning really to worry about what to do if they're in the Tampa Bay area. Again, for those people who are elderly, you should really relocate to some kind of shelter, especially if you're in a high-rise or in a mobile home. You don't want to be in that. And also make sure if you're going to go to a shelter, take your medication with you. Shelters are not pharmacies. All right. You may have a shelter out there, and don't get the idea that they're a pharmacy. They're not. Okay. They might not have any kind of medication you're taking. Take your medication with you. At least when I was in Florida and I gone through hurricanes, like I've been through a lot of hurricanes in my life, and especially Category 5 Andrew, I was through that one. And some buffering. Finally, I got Overlord here showed up, and he said there are some buffering. Yeah, that's been since I got out here today. It's been buffering, and I had to reset my internet. I'm talking to Overlord, which is in the chat room right now, who's telling me that I have buffering. I had to reset my internet and the whole 9 yards, and the buffering does not clear. Hopefully, maybe somebody over there on YouTube can boost up my signal, and we can get a clearer broadcast of today's. I was trying to broadcast maybe 3 hours today. Get about around a 3-hour broadcast, but if the buffering persists, I don't think so. Yeah, it's the Wi. No, I don't think it's the Wi-Fi at your job right now. I think it could be a problem with my system. My system is getting a big yellow box across it saying that it's not receiving enough video. A lot of people are on the internet. There's a lot of people on the internet all over the place. And for one reason or another, all right, we have all these situations developing over in the Middle East. We got all these situations developing in the United States as far as these hurricanes go, and a lot of people are on the internet. All right, So big problem. And also, if you're in the U.S., you also worry about if you have any kind of relatives up in Israel or in the Middle East somewhere, what's going on, because there basically is an all-out war. Is what you got out there. So if you're in the U.S., of course, you worry about your relatives. I got relatives right now in the path of the tornado. I mean, of the hurricane, and have to find a way to getting a hold of them because they are living in a trader. And I hope that. And usually the last time there's been a couple threats to Florida, they've been able to pack up their stuff and head towards other relatives' homes and stay there. So I hope that's the case this time around. Haven't been able to contact them so far, and I'm hoping they do. They are right in the pass. I mean, pretty much right there in the red zone, you could say, or where that hurricane's going to be at. So I hope they are able to get out of harm's way. Going back to the situation here on the hurricane, it is right now is a Category 4 hurricane. Let me pop it up here, get a closer look at this little baby here. All right, it is a Category 4. It has been zigzagging. All right, and the wind gusts or what is blowing right now is about 155 miles an hour. Is what's blowing. That's a very dangerous wind right there. Even though it's a Category 4, don't think that a Category 4 is not going to do damage. It will do major damage. All right. Anything like Category 3, Category 4s, and Category 5, well, that's more like an atomic bomb falling in your house and in your city. All right, that will definitely do horrible damage. And right now it is a Category 4. It seems to be on a trajectory of a northeast trajectory right now, but it's expected to turn. All right. When it gets closer to Tampa, you can see it starts to loop. By the time it gets here close to offshore Tampa, which will probably be like about 100 some, maybe about 100 something miles, 90 miles. It will be a Category 3. This is what they're estimating, that it's going to be a Category 3. But if it gets, we don't know. Some people, I've actually seen, I think it was the Weather Channel today I was looking at, or one of the other ones, and they said something that could be a Category 2 up there. But we're not, I think it's a lot of estimation. People are not sure what's it going to be on there. But I was talking about is, if you're an elderly person, if you're going to a shelter, you should take your medication with you. All right, take your medication. Put all your medication, and if you got like a zip bag, plastic bag, and it's waterproof, put your medication in that. All right, try to put some of it, because if you're walking or something and you drop it and there's flooding, your medication can get ruined. A lot of the medication, of course, the tops are waterproof, but still. Put your anything like your vital stuff. If you have a health issue and you have some documentation, put that in some kind of plastic, Ziploc, where it doesn't get wet. Blood types and information about yourself. You should also have some kind of paper there that will tell anybody if you got diabetes, high blood pressure, or anything like that. So if something did happen to you, God, hopefully nothing will happen to you. You'll have everything in some kind of dry storage that people can get to and look up your health condition. All right, so hopefully that doesn't happen, but that's something you have to think about. If you are right now in Tampa and you had done your shopping and you got your supplies, you should also. Hopefully you got some trash bags. Yesterday I talked about this. You should, if you're along the coast and you might be in an area that could be prone to flooding, or the sea surge could come in and flood out your home, you should start putting some of your clothing in trash bags and seal them really, really tight, and put them up as high as you can somewhere in the house, where if it did flood out, your clothing didn't get wet. Your shoes, your clothes. They should be in trash bags. All right, some kind of hefty trash bag that is not going to rip. All right, and try to keep your clothes and this kind of stuff, your important stuff, towards the center of the house or the apartment or the condo, whatever you're staying at, and keep it away from windows. All right. So, and also, if you have if you're a bedroom next to a window, and you have little things, little items that you might have in their necklaces and other stuff you might have on there on the counter or whatever. Anything electronic, try to get that away from the windows. Because if your window breaks, everything is going to get wet. And if you have strong winds, it could get all sucked out. All right, so I'm telling you that right now. All right, so keep stuff away from the windows. Anything that's vital to you, keep it away from the window. If you got electronics, big giant TVs and this kind of, and computers and all this kind of stuff, right now you're still waiting to see what happens. You should be ready that once it starts to threaten your area, this hurricane really, you start feeling the winds coming in and the rain start coming. You should be able to pack up that stuff and move it to more of an interior place inside your home. All right, because you want to keep all these electronics from getting wet. Electronics get wet, they can get damaged, and some of them will just never work again. All right, so that's another thing. Is now there are some electronics out there, they may get wet, and maybe you'll get lucky and you can dry them out. All right, but it's hard to tell which ones are. I'm not going to sit here and try to give you a list of what electronics does this and doesn't do it. All right, there are people out there that have phones that claim that you could drop them in the pool, and they're smartphones. People have smartphones that you can drop them in the pool and you can be okay with it. Well, I'm not going to take a $1,000 smartphone and throw it in the pool. So I mean, if it happens, hopefully, it doesn't come to that, but that's what the people talk about out there. So supplies, also food supplies, medical supplies, any kind of medication you have, all this should be in areas of your dwelling or your home that you're going to be staying, somewhere where you feel it's going to be safe. If you are in a trader and you are somewhere in Tampa, you should be getting out. All right, you should go somewhere else. Don't stay in that trader. All right. Now, if it goes into a category 1 or category 2, you might be okay. But if it spins out of control and you go into a category 3, you gotta also be worried that some of these hurricanes spin off tornadoes. All right. And tornadoes are the traders, you could say, Achilles' heel. Okay, tornadoes can really trash a trader park. All right, small tornadoes or even big tornadoes. If it's a big tornado, definitely. So keep an eye on that stuff. All right, but if you have to really hunker down no matter what, you're going to have to stay there because you just can't leave for whatever reason. Somebody cemented your feet to the ground or something. You have to leave. Well, then you're going to have to see how you're going to survive that. I know that if a trader park is hit by anything like a Category 4 hurricane, your windows are probably going to get blown out first, and then once your windows go, your trade is going to get sucked from the inside out, you could say, like a vacuum cleaner. It's going to get imploded, is what it's going to do. Your roof is probably going to go flying, and your trade is just going to be shredded. All right? I remember the Category 5 I went through, which was Hurricane Andrew. All the trader parks that I drove by, looked like they had been shredded, like somebody put them through a shredding machine. There was actually literally there was places you went to you couldn't recognize if that was a trader park or if that was some kind of a dump that the government was running. All right, it was shredded. All right, and people did die in those traders. You don't want to be in a trader doing a category anything from a Category 3 and up. You really don't want to be in a trader. Problem is, like if you look at Tampa, Orlando, in that center of Florida, there's a lot of trees. And trees can fall on a trader, can fall on a home, and all this could do a lot of damage. This may not be the time for you to be climbing up in ladders to cut down branches. You should have thought about that a couple of weeks ago, or but right now you may not have enough time to doing it. It could be dangerous. People get desperate. Believe it or not, people get injured before a hurricane, they get injured after a hurricane because they get desperate. Right now there may be people out there with their chainsaws cutting down limbs of trees. All right, so some people may never have even use a chainsaw. So that's another one you got to watch out for. Be careful what the stuff that you are using. Bottled water supplies. That's another thing that you should consider. If you're going to stay home. No matter what, you have to stay home. You can't go because it's common sense, people. There's not enough shelter for everybody. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's usually that's the way it comes down. If you go to Miami, there's not enough shelter in Miami for everybody in the entire Dade County. All right. Okay, I try that, and we'll see if it clears out the buffering. I think we may have been cut off for like a second or two, and then it was reestablished. It reestablished the connection. We'll see if this clears out some of the buffering problems that we're having here. All right, so we'll see what happens with that. So we'll keep on talking here. I'm gonna keep on talking here. Make believe that everything is running great, and we'll keep looking at stuff here. So looking at the hurricane, where is that? Where is it predicted to do? It is right now, right off there, the Yucatan Peninsula, and it's 155 miles an hour. It's still a Category 4 hurricane, and around midway, still a Category 4. It's predicted to still be a Category 4 hurricane at about 145 miles an hour. And then once it gets closer to Florida, it's predicted to go down in category to a Category 3. This is why I think some people have said that by the time it gets here, it could be a Category 2. All right. I don't know. I don't know the weather, the surface temperature there, and I am not a certified weatherman. Even though I watched maybe so many times the Weather Channel, I should probably get a doctorate degree on that. But I don't know if they got any system here that could move this lower towards the Miami area or Fort Lauderdale area, and if whatever they got up in here, because I'm also doing things myself and I don't have a lot of time to be in front of the Weather Channel. If the system here that is steering this and keeping it from moving north, it starts to weaken, then you can see it moves towards the north. It will start pulling towards the north if there's a system up here. If the system out here gets stronger, whatever that may be, it could start pushing the path of the hurricane more towards the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. So that's something to keep. That's why you have these weird paths here, where you have the extreme down here, down in the south, and the extreme up here, up in the southern part of Florida, up past right past Orlando, around Titusville, I guess it'll be where the other pass is at. And this here is down more like where Palm Beach is at. You can see, you see here Lake Okeechobee right there, and you can see Port St. Lucie right there, and then you see West Palm Beach down here. So West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, they may be okay. They're still going to get wind, and they're still going to get rain once this hurricane gets into that area, but it won't be as bad as the people in this pass in here. The closer you are to the hurricane, the worse it's going to be. Of course, we all know that. So we're looking at it, and I think the landfall has been changed. The trajectory of landfall, when it's going to make. Let me see what time we got here. Okay. So they predicted on Thursday, we're looking at around 3 a.m. in the morning to be in this area right here, right off the coast of Florida, approaching Tampa. And then around this area, let me see, well, at least around this area here, I guess it'll be around 3 o'clock in the afternoon to be around the center of Florida. All right, that's what they predict. So I guess you're looking at possibly a daytime hit here on Tampa around 12 o'clock. You could say anything between 11 to 1 o'clock. It could be when the eye of the storm comes ashore here. All right. So that's what you're looking at. That changed yesterday. The pass and the prediction was that they was going to hit Tampa early in the morning on Thursday around 3 a.m. But they have. It seems like the storm has possibly slowed down, or just doing a lot of zigzags out here, and this has caused some time, and it's going to be now scheduled a little bit further back, as far as hitting the Tampa Bay area. If you are in the Tampa Bay area, you see all this stuff here, and there's a lot of homes along the coast here, and you don't want to be out in these little islands out here. This is for anything Category 3, Category 4, 5, especially a 5, you're going to have an extremely bad day. A lot of that stuff a lot of stuff when you have the storm surge coming in. I know there were some reports today coming out of the Weather Channel that the storm surge could be as high as 15 feet. That's a lot of water. That's going to cover your any buildings in that area. Of course, high rises might not be covered, but still you might suffer foundational problems. And if you're out here, you get caught up here and the bridges go down, and people are not able to get to you. There may not be no boats or people able to get to you, and you're really stuck here. All right, so it's a big crisis. A lot of times they'll get these people off these islands off of here. All right, as the water comes in here and pushes the storm surge water that's coming in, it pushes all this area around here that I'm kind of like drawing a line. Let me see if I can get this in the center because I'm off the center. All this area around here can start getting flooded as this water is being pushed into here. It just starts to create like a funnel. All right. And that could be all potential flooding areas here. And of course, along the coast could be potential flooding area. Hopefully, it does not pick up speed. I've seen hurricanes where they was predicted to come in at a low speed and then power up to a higher category as it got closer. And I'm talking about like it was right offshore and it power up to a higher category. I believe it was Hurricane Wilma that did that. It was supposed to have been predicted as a Category 2, and then it power up to a Category 3. All right. I think that was Wilma. I'm not 100% sure because we're going back quite a few years here, but I think it was Category. It was coming in as Category 2, and then as it was getting close to the shore, I'm talking about really close, it power up to a Category 3. All right. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to power down. It may power up. You just don't know. Always these things that could. You don't know what events could happen. The steer of these hurricanes could change, and how the temperature of the water could also change, and create problems. So these models go by the information they have at hand right now, and how weathers are acting. Maybe in the next, going out to about 40 something hours, and what the temperature of the waters could be as this hurricane approaches here on shore. All right. Like I said, if you're in this area, you're going down south. If the hurricane does decide to track down south, you're gonna run out of land, and the last thing left will be the Florida Keys. So sometimes it might be better if you go up north. The problem is going up north is a big problem because of the other hurricane that we had, some days ago, which has 5 states have been damaged. It seems like our buffering is still persistent. It still wants to hang around because I see the yellow strip still back here hanging out. All right, so there's not much I can do. I did what I can, trying to change it around to see if we get a clearer signal, but it is what it is. And I'm broadcasting here what I can. I'm going to do a little bit of I'm going to play a little bit of a tune here, and I'm going to talk more about your preparedness for hurricane hit by this.
Sunshine on my skin, feels like I'm dreaming. Palm trees swaying in the breeze, just you and me. Sand beneath our toes, hearts that never close. Ocean whispers, secrets true, me and you. Paradise with you, everything feels new. World turns just for us. In paradise with you, together we trust. Stars light up the night, holding you so tight. Moonlight dances on the waves, love's sweet embrace. Every moment here, wishes crystal clear. You and me forevermore, more on this golden shore. Paradise with you, everything feels new. World turns just for us. In paradise with you, together we trust. Together we trust. Stars light up the night, holding you so tight. Moonlight dances on the waves, love's sweet embrace. Paradise with you, everything feels new. World turns just for us. In paradise with you, together we trust. Together we trust.
Okay, we're back here again, and we have been talking about the hurricane. I just put that little ad there on there. It's not an ad; it's something. It's a friend of mine that I'm trying to help, who has a daughter that suffers from bipolar, and they're trying to get some education, special education for the daughter, but they are going through extreme financial crisis. So if you're out there and you have seen this posting that I put here, if you can help with any kind of amount of funding, please do so. They themselves are suffering huge financial crisis. The father of the girl here, the girl, it's not her, but it's, they have a daughter, is unemployed and has an injury. The mother is not makes very little income, and they barely can pay the rent. And they got food, and now, of course, they have the situation where the daughter is suffering greatly from the bipolar problem that she has, disorder that she has, and they're trying to get some kind of education, some kind of special education for her to help her out, and also seek the medical treatment that she needs to treat her problem with bipolar. So I hope you guys can help with that, and well, help them out and pray for them. Okay, so we will continue here. I'm going to continue on here. And hang on one second. And we'll talk about this hurricane situation that we have developing here. All right. So, like I said, if you have already boarded up your home, you're now hunkered down. Uh, keep yourself busy. Maybe doing one thing, this or that. Don't leave trash inside the house that could smell. You can't go outside and throw it out. If the winds are down, they're not doing anything right now. Take the trash out of your home. Trash cans and this kind of stuff. Probably they have been telling you to pick this up and put it somewhere where it's not going to get blown away, because they become projectiles in a hurricane wind. All right. If you got a pool, putting your lawn furniture inside of a pool may not be the world's greatest idea. It turns into a mixer if you got a high wind, and could damage your pool, and it could cause a lot of damage that could lead into the thousands of dollars for repair. If you got a place you can put it in, some kind of room that you can put this patio furniture or whatever, you're probably better off putting it in there. You may end up needing it anyway, depending on what happens. All right, so pool should not. I will recommend do not drain your pool of any water at all. All right, some people say, "Oh, I'll drain my pool halfway out." Yeah, you may end up popping your pool out of the ground. All right. The last thing you want is to see your pool come out of the ground. It's pretty creepy, but the worst part is trying to get it to come, to put it back in the ground, and you may have to end up destroying your entire pool and have to rebuild the whole thing. So that's not something you want to happen. That's because the ground gets saturated with water, and the water pressure underneath, you basically are creating a boat once you're emptying out that pool water. All right, and it tends to float. So, and the pool is being pushed up by the water pressure on the bottom, and the underground is already full of water. So, don't do that. I've had pools during around 2 hurricanes, and I didn't take no water out of that pool. Just if you're gonna get flooding, you're gonna get flooding, and your pool is really not gonna, nothing. Yeah, what's gonna? I mean, if you're probably gonna get debris inside your pool. Tree limbs and all kind of things are gonna fall in your pool, and you'll still have to probably take that out. Of course, you're gonna have to take that out, and maybe you might have to wait a little while before you put any chlorine or acid or anything like that, anything to start fixing up the water, because that stuff is not going to be available, and more than likely you're going to have a hard time finding that stuff. If the shop that you go for your chlorine and your acid and all this is destroyed, or they have moved all their stuff around, you might not have that available to you. All right, so usually after, if you had a major hurricane and things went down and you can't get to these shop, pools will turn green. So you're gonna end up with a green pool, and of course then you have the situation with mosquitoes laying lobbies in there, and you have all these mosquitoes popping up. So it turns into a situation. All right, dogs and pets. Try to keep them dogs and pets inside during the height of the storm. And some dogs, like I had 3 dogs, they were not used to being inside. All right, they wanted to go outside and do their thing. You know what I mean? They have to use the bathroom. So they don't understand there's a major hurricane out there, and they don't want to be caught up out there. All right, so as well as getting out, make sure you have newspaper, some kind of newspaper or something you can drop on the floor, and see if your dog can take a dump there. You don't want to let your dog out there when a Category 3 is running around. You could get hit by a limb, or get cut up by glass, or maybe even if electrical power is on. And my fence around my home during one of the Category 3 hurricanes that I was hit by went down. It was busted up, and I could not allow my dogs to run around. I know they would just run around, and I wasn't gonna go out there in a Category 3 to chase my dogs down, get them to come back in the house. So try to get some newspapers for your dog, somewhere where you can put this newspaper, and hopefully your dog can take a dump on it or piss or whatever. And then try to have a trash can bag or something where you can put this stuff. But get enough newspaper and this kind of stuff for these dogs until the storm passes and you're able to go outside. Even when you're able to take your dog outside, you should have a leash, all right, for your dog. And watch out for cats. Cats get very nervous, very spooked out, you could say, after one of these hurricanes, and they also get kind of disorderly. They don't know where they're at. If you put them outside and everything has changed, tree limbs have fallen, and things are kind of changed, and they're outside. They kind of start wandering off, and your cat could just wander off. All right, so be careful with that. All right, how you put your cat out there, and pay attention. And some people find leashes for cat. I don't like having a cat on a leash, but I don't own any cats. Oh, I have owned any cats, really. I'm more of a dog person. So that's another one you want to be careful with. Make sure you have enough pet food for your dogs and your cat, to last them maybe a week or two. That's going to be an issue. There are people, a lot of, when I went through Hurricane Andrew, and it was a Category 5, a lot of people had to give up their pets. Their homes got destroyed, and no family member would take their pets, or friends would take their pets. They had their own problems, and a lot of them had to give up their pets for adoption. Of course, I'm sure a lot of pets were destroyed in the process because the county, the dog pound, you could say, that was keeping these pets, was overrun by dogs and cats. All right, and I'm sure a lot of them were destroyed because what you're gonna do? You can't keep them all, and if people are not adopting any kind of dogs or cats, they're gonna get destroyed. Some people came from out of state, and they were adopting some of these dogs and cats, And some of these dogs and cats, some of these dogs never, they were outside for whatever reason, or were able to get out, or got out of the home after it was being destroyed by wind, and they were just wandering around. Then they got picked up, and some of them did not have any kind of collar or anything, or chip or anything that identified them who they belonged to. And these dogs either got destroyed or put up for adoption, and people ended up losing their pets. All right, so that's one thing you have to keep in mind. You love your pet, you don't want to lose your pet. Then, just like you're taking care of things for yourself as far as food and water, think of them too because they're going to need it. And they're also going to have to do their necessity. They're going to have to go to the bathroom and take them out and walk them around. And you yourself should not wander far away from your home. And when these hurricanes decide to go sightseeing, there's a lot of this. If you got hit by a Category 3 and up, there's a lot of damage in the road. There's a lot of first aid people that people like ambulance or firefighters or police, and you're out there walking around just looking at how people's homes got destroyed. I remember after Hurricane Andrew, there was all these sightseers showing up from North Miami. Hurricane Andrew basically destroyed South Miami. All right. But a lot of people wanted to know what was going on in South Miami, and a lot of people started getting in the cars and heading to South Miami. And what they did is they were caught up in traffic disaster, because a lot of emergency vehicles were heading towards South Miami, and they were caught up in this traffic. And then they got down there. Those who got there before they were able to able to set up barriers asking for IDs if you lived in that area. They got in and they were wandering around, taking pictures. And the last thing people want after having their home being blown away, all right, and having all their possessions all over the neighborhood and things being destroyed, is to have some idiot from somewhere else who has his home safe, nothing's happened to them, to show up and start taking pictures of you, of your situation and stuff. You just don't want that. You're already in a horrible. You have a horrible feeling going through you of what's happened to your home, your personal stuff. They're all being destroyed, and someone's sticking a camera in your face or taking pictures of your house being destroyed. It's not. People don't want that. All right. So if you're out there planning on that, and now with all the, Hurricane Andrew, we really didn't have the YouTube and all this kind of stuff. Now with all this YouTube and all these people making these videos, let's see it as a challenge to go into a hurricane zone and take videos and put it up on the internet, so they can get 1 million hits on their videos. But this is, it's bad because a lot of people don't want to see their belongings out there, and there's a lot of people who you can see are in the zombie stage. People are women and men are maybe emotionally, and it's just bad. You got to respect people doing one of these things. You shouldn't be there to glorify, you're just down there just to take pictures or whatever, in a hurricane zone, just to so you can get hits on your YouTube channel, whatever the deal is. You should respect others. That's what you should do. If you are going to go into a hurricane zone, you should be taking supplies. You should take some water. You should take some food. Be careful if you're going to provide any kind of food aid or supplies to people in a devastating hurricane zone or any kind of disaster zone. And I'm saying that because I'm pretty much an expert when it comes to safety in this. And that's basically the kind of work I've done with the government. All right, protecting people's assets overseas and also in the U.S. Hang on a second. I'm trying to get. I lost my broadcaster. If you're going to go and you're going to do something like that, where you're going to go into a hurricane zone that's been hit by a hurricane, an area that's been hit by a hurricane, or even if you're in some other part of the world or a country, or in the U.S. where you got a tornado or earthquake, whatever, you got to remember, if you're going to take any kind of supplies into an area that has been severely damaged with whatever may have happened in that area, that people could mob you. Okay, trying to get to your supplies. You shouldn't go alone. You should take some people with you. And let me tell you, a lot of people, after Hurricane Andrew hit Miami, a lot of people came from Fort Lauderdale, Miami. Not Miami. Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and other parts of Florida, and then people even came from out of state to bring in supplies. And we thank those people. All right, but there were some tight situations there where people got aggressive for supplies, and fights broke out. And those people that are coming in with these supplies and this water and this food and all this, got to keep in mind that they also going to put a strain on the system, because they got to bring in food for themselves. They got to, if you're going to take food and water to somebody, and you're going to be caught up, possibly stuck in traffic, taking this stuff, and then we'll be stuck there for a while trying to get out of that county. You should be able to set up some kind of shelter, or know what you're going to do next, because you may have to stay in the car or before you can get out of there, and it could be a little bit hard to get out. What the police does is, some people get annoyed by the police, but they're just trying to help people. They don't want you getting stuck bringing in your supplies. All right. And they stop people and ask for their IDs and ask them, do you live in the area? If you don't live in the area, they won't allow you in. All right. All right. But there are people, in the police got themselves a bit of a situation. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because the person may have water, may have food, and may have all kind of stuff that those people who are in the disaster zone need. But yet here's the police officer being ordered by his commander to not allow anybody who's not residents of that location to drive in. All right. And what are you going to, I mean, you're an officer, and you know that you even may have your family members stuck in the disaster zone. What are you going to do? You would like to allow this food to go in. So if anybody has any common sense, what they should have people from that can be trusted, who may have worked with the police in the past, to be able to pick up those supplies from those people who are trying to deliver those food at that police stop, you could say, and pick up the supplies and be able to deliver it inside to the people who are in the disaster zone, and set up some kind of maybe some temporary warehouse somewhere where they can bring this food, where the police can say, look, go over here and drop off your supply at this temporary warehouse that we have set up, so your supplies can then be delivered inside the affected zone. Something along those lines got to be done. And I'm sure they start to plan something like that. But at the very beginning stages of when they start to coordinate, and start, roping off, you could say, the area that has been severely hit by a hurricane, police start blocking a lot of the roads, asking for IDs, and even if you want to deliver supplies, they might not even allow you in. All right, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, like I said, a lot of people, out of their good hearts, after Hurricane Andrew, brought supplies, and a lot of those supplies helped a lot of people that didn't have water, didn't have food, and were in need of getting this stuff. And the same arguments that you see nowadays, just like in these other states that have been hit by this hurricane a couple days ago, the same talk, well, the government didn't move fast enough, they're not doing nothing, or what about the same? We heard the same thing during Hurricane Andrew. We went through the same stuff. All right, the government does take time to get their act together, and they usually have a meeting to then have another meeting, possibly take a vacation in between. All right, but this is the way they work. This is the way they operate. It's a bureaucratic system, and they all get in there. They all try to, but eventually they start to roll. Once the supply starts to roll in, you'll actually, there was time when people had too much supplies. They had just bottles of waters of pellets were just sitting there, nobody picking them up. All right, it just loaded with supplies. There were supplies all over the place, all right, that people could get to. All right, but it's better. I guess it would be better to have too much supply than not to have no supply. All right, but that happened weeks after the disaster, when people start finally going in there, and then you have, of course, all these linemen come in and try to put up the power back up, and that takes time. If an area has been severely hit and all the lines are down and transformers have been burned out and so forth, this takes some time to do. And those men and women that do this job are something we should appreciate. All right, because they are really, they're coming from other parts of the United States, or other parts, let's say like in Florida's case, other parts of Florida, to do this kind of work, and they may only be bringing their supplies, and they may have to sleep in their trucks overnight and work these 12-hour shifts trying to put these lines back up. All right, so don't give them a hard time. Don't be yelling at them, screaming at them. Hey man, when are you gonna get the power up, man? What are you, an idiot? And this kind. Don't do that. These people, they go out there. That's the last thing they need. All right. It's for somebody to go out there and start criticizing them, calling them names and all this kind of stuff, or insulting the living yang out there. And they're all there. They're the linemen trying to set the power back up. It's not their fault. They're there to help you. All right. So please don't do that kind of stuff. The same thing with the police. Don't disrespect the police and call them a whole bunch of names. They're following orders. All right. And the military goes out there and they do what they can. The biggest problem that we had in Miami at one point was looters going into homes, stealing whatever they can get their hands on. That's a big problem. The good thing about Miami is many of the people there were armed. All right. And looters were, not a good idea possibly to go into someone's house and steal their stuff. All right. But still, malls got hit. Looters did loot malls and shopping centers and strip malls and all kind of stuff. And there was a problem with that. National Guards couldn't even handle the situation. They had to bring in the 183rd Airborne I think it's the 131st or the 101st Airborne had to go in there. And once they came in, security started to be better security, and a lot of the looting stopped, and more police came from out of state, from all over the place, into Miami, and started to secure the streets. And also there were curfews. They were established to keep the looters, keep things under control, you could say, and keep looters from attempting to steal other people. And also, people can get hurt driving around at night in a hurricane zone after the sun goes down because there's no street lights. A lot of the signs that identify a street may be torn down. You won't even know where you're at. Unless you got some kind of GPS or something, you might not know where you're at. Back then in Hurricane Andrew, not too many people have GPS. All right. Nowadays, it may be a little bit better for you. But that is if you're able to get a signal for your GPS. All right. So also starting any kind of fire inside your home, bad idea. You don't want to start a fire inside your home. I know some of the people that suffer greatly are those people living in high-rise. All right. And I hope that people or owners of high-rises, there are especially those that rent apartments, understand that everybody cannot go to a shelter. All right. So a lot of these owners, what they'll do is they want everybody, because of liability problems, they want all the people inside that apartment complex to evacuate. Send them where? They've got nowhere to go. And in some cases, they may have nowhere to go. All right. So you want to send them out because you don't want people falling down the stairs or falling down an elevator shaft or something. So this is a problem for some of these owners, but they only care about the bottom line. They're their building. They're the ones who are getting they're the ones who are going to get a lawsuit filed against them. So they don't care. They don't care. They will just want you out. All right, and it's a bad situation. All right, for those living in an apartment, especially in an apartment complex. At least maybe in a condominium, you might have a condominium association